Hello, everybody. Welcome to Work Smarter and Lead Stronger podcast with your host, Temi Ologbenla. And today we're joined by an amazing leader who leads with precision, expertise, and also a mix of heart. I would like to welcome Victoria to today's podcast. So Victoria is the Executive Director of Registry Motor Vehicle Modernization in the Department of Cybersecurity with the province of Nova Scotia in Canada. So that's for my international audience. It's in Canada. So we're just going to chat more about, her leadership style, how she nurtures her team while also being a great leader and a coach, right? This is going to be an exceptional podcast episode. You're going to want to listen to it multiple times. So Victoria, thank you so much for joining. Would you like to, tell us more about yourself?
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Temi, for having me. And hello to everyone joining in. As you said, my name is Victoria. I'm based here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I've been with the Department of Cybersecurity and Digital Solutions for just over 2 years now. And my team is focused on truly improving the experience for Nova Scotians as they interact with the registry services, both at Access Center and online. Prior to joining the province, I was with Halifax Regional Municipality for several years. I am not a technologist by trade. My background is in communications, but over the years, both through just role exposure and experience, really developed an affinity for transportation policy and then technology implementation in the transportation space. So I've had the great pleasure of working with a number of super talented public servants at all levels of government in trying to advance and improve transportation and road safety for Nova Scotians, for Haligonians, and more globally here in Canada. So very excited to be here.
Awesome. That is great work you guys are doing. Thank you. It's nice to bring, things into the 21st century or the 22nd now. Are we 21 or 21st? So thank you. It's pretty cool work, honestly. And I love that, you're able to bring your strengths, your non-technical strengths. They're still strengths, right? Able to bring it to help to push these initiatives forward.
Yes, I'm a firm believer, especially in senior leadership roles. Really, it's more about soft skills and collaboration and people and team building and recognizing the strengths within your team and less about subject matter expertise. Those skill sets
I
can be
agree.
learned over time, but if you surround yourself with a really strong and capable team, I think that as leaders, we're able to really transform in any space.
Yes, I agree. So true. So tell us about your systems, Victoria. What type of systems do you have in place, that make your week more productive?
So this is such a great question. And actually, I laughed when I read this in the pre-material because I feel like if my team is going to tune into this, they'll laugh. We do at CSDS and in R&D modernization in particular, we really pride ourselves in adopting the Agile service delivery model. So what that means is that we're building in iterative chunks instead of waterfall, which would have been more traditional government technology delivery. That also means that we hold true principles to be around working in the open, being very transparent and collaborative with our partners as we're designing and building. That also means that we are truly integrated and diverse skill set teams. So again, there's several people on our teams now that are not technologists, but perhaps their subject matter expertise from public works or Service Nova Scotia or policing or justice. And having that wide variety of skill set, in addition to a very strong technical team, has really enabled us to be responsive, design with Nova Scotians in mind, not the policy or the process or the bureaucracy, and truly try to build transformation from the ground up. Again, designing with Nova Scotians at the heart of everything that we do. And that includes everything from user research, engaging with Nova Scotians and how they interact with our services, to how we're shaping our policy in the future, what Nova Scotians are looking for so that we're responsive, and how we set up our cadence and our days and how we manage our teams. Again, in alignment with Agile, we have daily sprints where we're connecting in with each other. We're making sure through stand-ups that the teams are aligned and understand what they should be working on. We have regular team-wide check-ins where we're sharing our work, again, through show and tells. We have bi-weekly town halls where we can bring the teams together to celebrate our successes or talk about challenges. That's one of my favorites. And then we do have very regular check-ins with our business partners as well, all the way up to our senior sponsors at the deputy level, to make sure that there's alignment and cohesiveness in our direction and in our deliverables.
Awesome. I two things that I picked up from what you just said: buy-in, very
Yes.
important, and stakeholder engagement. I guess they go hand in hand, and that's really great because you don't want to, yes, I know it's iterative. So let's say you don't want to waste
Yes.
a sprint and then you find out that, oh, it wasn't needed, or someone actually didn't agree with, like a sponsor, they hold the
Yes,
money back.
exactly. Yes,
You want
exactly.
to make sure you're keeping the Nova Scotians happy, but also the sponsor happy. So it's great that you're, very big on communication and also keeping the team happy, right? With those touch points you mentioned. I love that you mentioned lessons learned too. So,
Yes.
you're not taking the same mistakes into the next sprint. So I think these are really great things that leaders could, could pick. Even if leaders is listening and isn't, in project management, right? These are things that can easily be transferred to different sectors.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer, even if it's not prescriptive to agile delivery, that there's lots of applications across certainly government, but other sectors as well, that can really benefit from that rapid prototyping, rapid trialing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to include every possible scenario, but let's test and learn and then build upon. And that in the long run really does save time and money and also motivates staff to experiment and to make mistakes and to embrace failure because you can learn from it in a safe environment. So,
So true.
yeah.
I love that. That should be a quote. Embrace mistakes. Yes.
Yes.
How else would
Yeah.
you grow if if you don't step out of that comfort zone? You're not going to think of, people won't think of innovative ideas and,
Exactly.
be the best they can be, the best value that they can bring to the company. So
Yes.
that's like a really great culture.
We try.
Yes.
It's a learning every day.
Awesome. For people that are listening, I was chatting with Victoria earlier and I just realized that we actually have spoken at the same conference, I guess different years, but I remember the year that I spoke at the conference, I remember seeing their table and they had like some of the best swag. And this was
Yeah.
like how many, at least 2, 3 years ago, their swag was
Yeah.
that good that I actually remember.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
can tell
Shout
they're
out
very
to
big
the
on
marketing
excellence.
team in CSCS. We have
Seriously, yes. Shout out to you
really great
guys.
speakers and good
Yeah.
catchphrases. So,
Yes.
yeah.
They were so beautifully made. Really, really. I
Right.
think I actually ended up gifting them to like people that are from out of town. Like, so it was really nice.
Nice.
Okay, when leadership has a goal in mind, right, and you need to align your team with it. So what kind of process would you take your team through to make sure that everyone's aligned and everyone's speaking that same, language?
Uh, so again, a really great question. I think there's sort of two things that we really try to live and breathe in our team. One is roadmaps are really fundamental, so you need to know where you're going. In Agile, that can prove more difficult. Like you can look at really big picture and know where you're headed in 6, 12, 18 months. But then as you're testing and learning, that roadmap can change and divert and end up in multiple forks. But also having that flexible mindset within the team to address those pivots as they
Mhm.
arise. And I think, again, it really just comes back to really good, strong communication. If there
Really.
are pivots or if there are new things you've
Mhm.
encountered, being transparent about that with the team, with your partners, communicating about that often. And I think too, in our goal setting and in our roadmap setting, we've
Mhm.
really structured our deliverables around outcomes and less about, an end product date or an end release date or being more focused on what is this for the sake of. And I think in doing that, that has really enabled us to, again, make really compelling decisions as we go about which fork we take or whether we deprioritize one release over another or one product priority over another. And so it's been helpful to be very outcome focused early.
That's really good. Really, really good. Outcome focus. That's, it's instead of trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, right? You're like, we need to get this done by X date. So I guess, maybe I know some situations like when I chat with some leaders, they're like, okay, but we do need to have a date, right? Let's say it's a certain
Yeah.
product, right? Or an app that they need to launch or update, right? Let's say there's like regulatory things involved, right? So I guess in that situation, people should consider descoping. So there's always ways to work around it instead of saying we have these 20 items and we must get it done
Absolutely.
in 2 week sprints.
Absolutely. So again, being realistic, you have to look at your priorities. You have to look again if you're outcome focused, if you're specific on what those achievable pieces are. Um, being very connected into is this serving our core outcomes here or is this a nice to have? Those really help to prioritize when push comes to shove. And if deadlines are still critically important, Sometimes that is one of the core outcomes. We need to have this released for public safety, or we need to have this released for legislative purposes. And maybe that's the core outcome. And so you make other trade off decisions. Maybe it doesn't have all of the features, or maybe they can't pay online at the first iteration. But those are the pieces that I think really do help refine goal setting.
Sounds really interesting. This is my type of work. Like you mentioned Agile. I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
Full mindset. So you're able to react quicker, right? As opposed to releasing
Yes,
something and
exactly.
then 1 year later, you're like, oh, actually, we don't need this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's that. Like, I think there's acknowledging that you're doing maybe short-term investment for something that will only live for a year because it bridges the gap to get you to a broader product outcome. So,
So true. So true. So interesting.
mm,
So, like when it comes to your management style, how do you know when to step in and when to get out of the way?
such a good question. Honestly, I think that's evolving. And again, if my team sees this or is listening to this, they'll probably laugh. But I think that answer really evolves. I really value the input of my team, and I know that we have built such a competent team that they're empowered truly to make the right decision, and I trust that they will. But they always know that I'm there as a safety net, both in terms of backing them up, need the
Right.
support, or in advocating for them in the rooms that they're not in, but then also really just staying aligned to the vision and goals of the team. And if you are all clear on where you're going, and if you're clear on your objectives, I'm not suggesting that there's never misalignment within our team or there's never competing priorities, but I think that if you're able to do that and really support your team in being empowered, that's really truly part of the Agile methodology, is that the teams at the front level that are working on the work, they're empowered to make the decisions. And we've set up our governance structure that if they've met an impasse with our partners, or if there are competing priorities against departments, we have really good, strong governance and great relationships with our partners that we can elevate and escalate those decisions quickly, and get them an answer so it's not holding up delivery. And again, it's not perfect. It evolves, and there are always going to be competing priorities in government, and some departments take precedence over others. And so it's about managing those expectations.
That is so good. Managing expectations. The bottlenecks will come, but how can we
Yes.
reduce the current ones to create space for the new ones?
Yes. And again, communicating trade-offs. I think it's important when you do reach those points of friction to help people understand, okay, we can do this for you today, but here's what we're unable to deliver as a
Yes,
result.
yes, yeah. I think it helps the understanding too, because if we don't communicate, people just assume that, oh, it's easy peasy, it's something that can be done. And
Exactly.
then if they get disappointed, better for them to get disappointed early on at the beginning than
Yes.
when they're expecting something and then it doesn't happen. Like there's a trust deficit, right? People start to lose trust. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think too, especially with high performing and high efficiency teams,
Uh,
they just develop this reputation that they're always going to say
yep.
yes. You're never going to hear no. And I think it is important for you as a leader to encourage. We can say no here. We can challenge this. We can ask questions about why this is servicing to the top, or why would we need to alter our roadmap now? And sometimes the answer is, we acknowledge it, but you still need to get it done. But it is important to foster those kind of conversations to challenge that you shouldn't always just be, yes, we'll move on to the next. Yes, we'll get that done for you too. Yes, we'll take this on. There are trade offs.
For sure. Even for the quality too, right? Because even if, they do end up taking everything on and then the quality is less than expected. So it's so true. Yeah. It's good. It's great that you're empowering your team. So they feel like, okay, I can do this by myself. You know what I mean? I can do this part of it by myself. And I'm guessing you also know the like strategies on how to push back, like, coaching on pushback strategies if
Yeah,
execution were to happen. Or, oh, I see you did this, but next time try it this way. That they know,
absolutely.
okay, they have those in their back pocket.
Yes, and I think coaching, you've touched on such a great point there. Like when I think of my own leadership team or teams that I've had in the past, you have people with varying levels of experience and leadership roles, and also different personalities and different approaches about how they broach decision making. And so it is important to be that sounding board for them. And I think feedback is a gift. I think it's important to both give and receive feedback. I always ask the team, how can I help you? What can I change in my leadership style that's not resonating for you? Because each of them are different. They have different orientations to the work that they're doing. They have different preferences about how they're communicated with. And so it is about adjusting that depending on who you're working with in the moment or what they need or how they're responding or showing up.
So true, so true. Feedback really is a gift. And it
Yes,
shows humility when you're able to receive feedback. I think sometimes
absolutely.
people just lean towards the giving. They're so generous with their feedback.
Yes. Yes.
But
But
you have to be just
receiving,
as generous, right?
yes. Yeah.
Be just as generous with the feedback. And I know there was something that I chatted with someone about when it comes to feedback. Even if the feedback isn't something that can be applied, you know what I mean? Still acknowledge the feedback, still listen to it, right? And
Yes.
also thank the person because
Yes.
it takes a lot for somebody to give you feedback. So thank this
Absolutely.
person. Yeah,
Absolutely.
but so good. I think I should do an episode on feedback. It's so important.
Please. Yes. I there could be a whole series on
Seriously,
feedback.
yes. I was
Yes.
thinking a panel. I might have to do
Yeah.
a panel on it and invite you. So, what's something you've learned, Victoria, about leading people across different cultures?
Such a good question. I have learned, so first of all, I have worked with many diverse groups, both
Mm,
in terms of race, ethnicity, and but then also just geography. Like we have team
mhm,
members, especially with our consultants that are working all across the globe. So you have to be mindful of time zones more than ever, especially in this global market and also in the global context of everything that's happening, being mindful that some of your staff might be worried about their family at home.
so
There
true.
might be economic turmoil happening in their home country, or there might be a war. So if they're not seeming themselves or if they're not showing up, and then also thinking more corporately as we look to our EDIA strategies, we've been talking a lot about how can we support our staff when they might be more remote than others, or how can we support staff that might not want public recognition. So you really do need to think of each individual as an individual. They have their own culture, they have their own orientation to work, they have their own values. And again, it's that personal connection and understanding what matters to them. In my former role, when I was at HRM, employee who was from Ukraine and was seriously impacted when the war broke out. He had family that were still there. He was unsure of their safety, and our team just rallied around. We did a parade by his house with colors on vehicles to show our solidarity for him and his family. Even just acknowledging that the team knew that that was the right thing to
Mhm.
do, that just felt so special. But again, it's completely individual. And I think it's about embracing the diversity and the representation that our team members bring, and really encouraging that to come out in their work and in their contributions and how they show up at work, I think only makes us stronger as a workforce. And again, if we're here to serve Nova Scotians, Nova Scotians are diverse. So we need to represent what the Nova Scotian makeup looks like. And we need to ensure that when we're designing and building services, we're representative of the citizens we're serving. And that is everything from ensuring that we have diverse representation in user research, to ensuring that we're meeting accessibility standards, to ensuring that our workplace culture is healthy and safe for our employees.
That is so good. So, so good and so important. And I
Mm,
love that you're like, we're a mini version of the people we serve, essentially. Right?
absolutely.
That's so great.
Absolutely. Yes.
And see what I meant? Centered, right?
Oh, thank
Remembering
you.
that people are people, like employees are
Yes.
people. Right?
Yes.
They have
Yes.
things going on outside of work that they will bring into work. Right? It's integrated.
Absolutely.
Right? It flows back and
Absolutely.
forth. So,
Yeah, you're a
so
mom,
important.
I'm a mom. Like, I'm always mindful this time of year. Parents are worried about their kids. They're wondering if they're showing up. They're wondering if they got to school on time. They're worrying about lunches. So it's just being mindful.
Yes, so true. And that's how people can bring their best self to work, bring the best value
Absolutely.
to work. When they feel, you know what, my employer cares. So
Absolutely.
it becomes like
Yes.
reciprocal because you care, they care.
Yes. Yes.
So good.
Yes.
And I'm guessing you must have busy seasons. I can just imagine with all the different, with especially, with the sprint, you're like, okay, we've finished one, we've celebrated before you know it's time to
Yes.
start sprint planning again.
Yes.
No days off. So
No.
can you tell me, how do you help your team stay connected and motivated during the really busy season?
Gosh, so it feels like the whole past year has been our busy season and more to come. But you're absolutely right. In government, it does come in waves, especially when House is sitting. You want to make sure that your ministers are prepped and supported, and you want to make sure that your legislation is ready, or the
Yeah.
system that you're about to launch isn't going to crash, which has happened, or that access centers are opening the way they should, and we're able to process their information. I first of all, I think what you mentioned, taking the time to acknowledge the successes, it can be very easy to just be like, and now on to the next. What's the
Yes.
next thing to
So
come?
true.
And I'm very guilty of that as well. We need to spend a lot more time celebrating the wins, big or small, and acknowledging the enormous effort that went into
Mm,
it. I'm also a huge proponent of taking the time that you've earned. We really do try to encourage team members to take their time to
mhm.
ensure that they're resting and recharging, to
Really good.
ensure that they're spending time with their family because that matters. And again, in ways that work for them. So whatever that looks like for each individual employee, we try to be flexible in that way. But then also through those larger team ceremonies, we do really try at show and tells and
Mhm.
at stand-ups or at town halls to do that more formal acknowledgement. And then again, corporately, we have wonderful initiatives like the Ministers Awards, which are just the most phenomenal bucket
Nice.
filling events where you see highlights from all across cybersecurity and digital solutions of great work, from public facing initiatives, large, big, splashy things, to the individual that makes sure that the healthcare systems and the MRI machines are functioning properly, and everything in between. And so I think that taking the time again to acknowledge and formally acknowledge
Yeah.
that work up to the minister level is just it's incredible.
Oh, that's really good. Shows that everybody matters, right? From the big,
Yes.
to the, I don't want to say small, but but different levels of employment, right?
Yes,
And that's
exactly.
everybody's input is appreciated.
Absolutely. Acknowledging the frontline staff is so important. The work that they do and the hours that they put in, and service desk, like our service desk team, they work tirelessly to make sure everything in government functions as it should, and that often goes unnoticed. So it's important to make sure that they get the recognition they deserve.
The labor of love, honestly. Wow.
Yes.
So yes, thank you to the frontline team. We
Yes.
appreciate you.
Credit to frontline.
Special shout out from the podcast to them.
Yes.
So let's move on to our rapid fire, Victoria. So it's
Yeah,
going to be short, actionable, punchy.
sure.
It doesn't have to be too punchy if you don't want it to be, that's fine.
Sure.
So the first question, can you tell us what's the first thing you do when you feel overwhelmed?
Oh gosh, I wish I had like a really inspirational answer. Like I meditate or I walk or I spend time, which I do. I do all those things. But truthfully, if I am super stressed, my release is to shop.
You're going to see ice cream.
Ice cream is a great answer. I find solace in shoes. So sometimes if I've had a
Mm.
really stressful day, I will
Feels like I
look for
need
a
to
new
buy
pair
new
of
shoes. It's
shoes.
time. So what type of shoes do you like? Are you, no, I'm just curious. Heels, sneakers, flats,
I like it
boots?
all. I wish I didn't. Although again, at work, you'll often see me in slippers, but
Mm,
I have a wall of heels against my wall of my office. Yeah, I'm short. I'm 5 foot
mm.
2, so I like to wear heels.
Nice, nice. Shoe shopping.
Yes.
That's awesome. See, I love this.
Yeah, me
We're learning
too.
so
This
much
is
about you.
great. Yeah.
What would you say is your most useful soft skill in your leadership stack?
I think my most useful leadership skill is I think I have a pretty good knack of knowing when my team is feeling overwhelmed. I don't wait for them to come and say, I need help. And I hope that I am a builder. I really do value ensuring that the team is collaborating and ensuring that they're checking left and right with their peers before they do escalate a problem, and making sure that all voices have been heard. So yeah, I think those would be my
Really
two.
good. Really good. I love what you just said about, reaching out before they do, right?
Yeah,
Because I think sometimes too we forget that it's not everyone that's going to say that they're drowning, which is, it might not be the best quality for being honest, right? Because people should kind of advocate for
absolutely.
themselves. It might just be something. It's just how it is, right? So it's good that okay, fine, I see that you're in need of help. Here I am, not just I'm waiting for you to come and tell me.
Absolutely. And sometimes to go back to the previous, like it can be a cultural thing, or it
Yes,
can
true.
be even a gender thing. Like sometimes even myself as a woman, I feel guilty bringing this forward,
Mm.
or I feel that I'll be perceived as inadequate if I suggest I can't do this on my own. I need help. But I think it's really important to share vulnerability with your team and to mirror that yourself. So I try, probably maybe sometimes too much, with my team, to say, like, I'm struggling, I need a minute.
Mm.
And I think that that's really important, to show that vulnerability with your team.
Well, then it's transparency, yeah. And
Yeah.
like they said, it's mirroring too. It's one thing to say something, but then if you're not doing it, it's still hard for the team to adapt or
Absolutely.
adopt it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about meetings. So meetings is
Yes.
one of my many
Love
love languages.
love it.
So effective meetings, that's my jam. So let's talk about meetings. What would you say is your biggest meeting pet peeve? And let me, I know I said biggest one, but if you have more than one, I've had some guests say, are you ready for my list?
Yeah.
So if you have a list, feel free to
I
share it
think
all.
I love that. And that's truly what drew me to this podcast, Temi, and also just the community that you're building in these discussions. Cause like, meeting, the bane of my existence, truly. And it is a culture thing in government. We really do
Mm.
love a meeting. Love a meeting. And that can be a really good thing in terms of ensuring that everyone is hearing the same thing, ensuring that people are in the room, ensuring that, there's discussion and collaboration. I guess my biggest pet peeve associated with that is, often we leave those meetings without actions
Mm.
or without clear next steps. And ironically, just today, I sent out an agenda to my team about how we're going to revisit our own meeting cadence, because it's starting to get out of control. Like, we are meeting too much. You go to look at someone's calendar. I can't book someone for 2 to 3
They're
weeks.
just weeks. Wow.
Weeks.
Okay.
Oh, weeks. Absolutely. Especially now, headed into the fall, like, people are booking out 3 and 4 weeks in
Yeah.
advance. So it becomes hard. And then
Yeah.
again, wanting to value people's lunch hours, like, you need to take a
For
break. You
sure.
need to
Yes.
go to the bathroom. You
Yes.
need to
Right.
be able to function. And if you're just in back to back to back to back meetings, there's no strategy, there's no time to think, there's no time
Yeah.
to process.
You just show up.
So
Yeah.
so I think we need to practice what I've been preaching, and get more regimented in our meeting management, agenda
Mm.
management, action management, ensuring that only the people that can make decisions are in the meeting. Like, we can bring people up to speed afterwards with a really great email, or record it so that people can watch later if they're interested. And now more than ever, with Teams, like Copilot and recording capabilities. Absolutely. We have so many asynchronous options. I
Yeah.
think there's huge opportunity there for us to leverage that. And I would say we're probably not doing a super great job of that right now. So that would be my pet peeve.
I
What
know
is
that.
yours?
What's my pet peeve? I would say for sure, not making a decision. So I
Yeah.
give this analogy, it's like people meeting to, they want to paint a house a color, and
Yes.
then everyone leaves the meeting, and then somebody heard red, somebody heard, oh, we're painting the house red, we're painting it yellow, we're painting it green, and you're like, okay, you just had this 1 hour meeting,
Yes.
1 hour of time that you'd never get back,
Yes.
and no one's on the same page.
Yes.
So I would say that's
Agreed.
probably my biggest. Meetings have their place for sure. But just making sure that there is a purpose to the meeting. I actually
Yes.
have this tool that I give like in my workshops. Should this be a meeting or an email?
Yes.
And it's like a flow
Love that.
chart. So I kind of like gamified it, right? You're like, okay, oh, you start here and then you go down this way, this way, this way. You're like, okay, it should be an email actually, not a
Love
meeting.
that. Yes.
So it gives people time, right?
Yeah.
It's actually the statistic. I think it's the US base. It costs employers about $29,000 per employee in unproductive meetings.
I believe it.
Nine
I believe
thousand
it.
dollars, and that's
Yeah.
minimum depending on the level the employee's at. So you can imagine sometimes companies are like, oh, they're not making enough revenue, this and that. There are things you can do internally. You don't always have to go out and release a brand new product or do
Yeah.
some more R&D. Start on the inside.
Yes.
Fine tune your
Exactly.
operations. There's always
Yes.
something leaking.
I totally agree. Yes.
But yes, we can chat about that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let me know how I can help you with that.
Yes. I would love that.
Yeah. And then when it comes to, this one's going to trigger you. Let's talk about recurring meetings.
Love it.
So are recurring meetings a friend or a foe to you?
So I would say both.
Mm.
Again, when I reflect on our cadence and how we structure our meeting, we have several recurring meetings. I think as long as they have clear objectives of what you're there to do, they can be useful. But I think sometimes teams can fall into the trap of this just becomes a catch-all for
Yes.
everything. And so if you're not rigorous in the agenda management, which fully guilty of that, or if you're not rigorous in the outcomes coming out of it, recurring meetings can be a curse.
Mm,
I do like recurring meetings again because real estate is such a difficult thing in terms of people's calendars. Know that you have that placeholder is a godsend in some instances. And also it provides continuity. So for those instances where we don't have daily catch ups with our partners, I know that I'll get to see them in 3 days' time. So
mm.
I don't need to send a super urgent email with a red flag. That's another trigger for me, like, high alert, high
And
priority.
then you open it, you're like, where's the emergency?
Exactly. So I do think recurring meetings can add value in that way. You'll see them soon,
Mm-hmm.
so you can talk about it there. But on the other side, I do think they become time sucks. They
Mm,
become something that staff expect, and then it becomes a bit performative. Like
mm-hmm.
we have this one PowerPoint that we continue to cycle through week over week, and I'm like, okay, this isn't adding
Mm,
any value. We're just updating this for the sake of updating it
mm,
because we have a recurring meeting. So I think if you take time to evaluate, is it doing what you said it was going to do? Is it achieving the outcomes that can help
yeah,
determine
for
whether it's
sure.
helpful or
Yeah,
not?
so true. Yes, it's definitely good. I mean, I think it's good. Sometimes people do have these meetings, and maybe down the line they find out that, you know what, we have come to a conclusion and we don't need that
Yeah.
cadence anymore, right? It's okay.
Yep.
Sometimes, yes, you will need that weekly or whatever frequency cadence it is, but, sometimes people do have to learn to step back sometimes. When you notice a
Yes.
pattern, okay, somebody needs to speak up and be like, okay, do we really need this meeting? Can we, sometimes I tell people to just pull the plug. It sounds so
Totally.
scary. I'm like, don't worry. It's not like somebody's heart. Okay. It's a
Mhm.
meeting. Pull the plug and see if you actually need it. Right.
Yes. And
Yeah.
again, people value things differently. We did a
Mm,
poll about 6 months ago now about our cadence and our meetings. And I had to laugh because the feedback went from everything to, I have no idea what this meeting is for, to this is the most important meeting in my week. So it really does. I think it varies on the individual and it also
mhm.
varies on their role and what they're
Yes,
getting from the meeting.
for
So
sure.
having those pulse checks and taking that time to evaluate their value is really important.
That is so good. I love that you guys went out for feedback.
Yeah.
Was it anonymous, or was it actually you knew who said what?
Always anonymous.
Okay,
Always
that's so
anonymous.
good. Yeah,
Yep.
that's really,
Although
really
I
good.
do wish I knew who said it was the worst meeting they go to because same.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I for sure I can see, like, I think sometimes too when people, it depends on the person's role, like you said, like, and their goals. Sometimes what I find with some teams that people actually don't know what their goals are. Like, the
Yeah.
goal of the team, not necessarily the
Yeah.
individual, but the goal of the team. So if people don't know the goal of the team, then they cannot really prioritize. So it
Really.
might be a great meeting because we get to, have banter at the beginning. Like, if you don't have the context for why it's such a great meeting, then
Absolutely.
how do we improve, or, really
Absolutely.
fix things. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love meeting talk. I'm
Yeah.
actually gonna write a book about it. Watch this
Oh,
space.
awesome. Can't wait.
Yes.
I'll be the first
Link and
buyer.
you'll be there. Don't worry, I'll keep you posted.
Good.
When it comes to meetings, because I'm sure you get 300 meeting invites a day. What's your personal rule for saying yes to a meeting invite? Or do you just accept all and hope
No,
for the best?
truly, I don't accept all. They sit in my calendar. Like I don't like outright declining. Although I don't know if you've noticed in the new Outlook, if you have the new Outlook, you can decline but still monitor meetings, which I actually love that feature because it still will show as available in your calendar, but you can track what's happening with it. So I really do love that. I think my filter always is who has sent the meeting. If my deputy has sent the meeting, I'm going to prioritize that
Or
over
yes.
anything. But then also, am an active contributor to the
Mm-hmm.
meeting or am I there as an observer? I think is
Mm-hmm.
another filter. Have they invited me because they wanted me to be aware or do I
Mm-hmm.
actually need to be there to support them is another
Mm-hmm.
filter. In future, I'd like to get to a place of rigorous agenda management. I do my best to manage my own calendar. And I really do try to also be intentional about blocking out time. So we have like focus hours where I won't accept meetings from, and that's usually honored, not always, but that helps too, because it does create a bit more flexibility so I can move things around.
That's really good. And focus time is so great because it also helps you to do your work, right? I know
Yes.
meetings are great, right? But we actually still need to get, people need to get their work done. So
What a
it's great that you
concept.
have
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
a fan of deep focus.
Yes.
And are you team email or team instant messenger? Do you use instant messenger at all?
I'm a millennial, so it's like the closest thing I have to like MSN Messenger. So yes, I love Teams. Yes. I love Teams. We are also a big fan of like group chats through text with my team. I would much prefer, I find an email so formal and it's invasive. Like I get a reaction. So I prefer Teams for sure, unless there's a definitive action or you need to be formal, which absolutely there are instances for that for sure. Also, our organization, I don't know about others, but we have retention policies. So with Teams, sometimes important things can get lost. So in those instances, if there's a series of questions that I know that I can't get to right away, I will pop it in an email
Mhm.
so that I have a record.
Yes. So
Yeah.
important. For sure. It's a
Yes.
balancing act, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. But always prefer Teams.
Teams is good. But I
Yeah.
often advise people that, so when it comes to, IM versus email. I think also part of communication is making sure everybody's on the same page, right? Because everyone acts differently, right? Some people
Yeah.
might think, oh, it's okay to put up, pop a contract into the messenger. But if, there's some sort of policy, it doesn't have to be, super like documented, but like if there's a policy in place and everybody knows that, okay, IM is great for this, right? Versus email
Yes.
is great for that. Yeah. And helps with finding stuff later.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yes,
where did
exactly.
that go?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Can you tell us what's the worst advice you have heard about leadership?
Oh man, I have heard a ton. I don't know if it's advice per se. I would say the worst assumption that I think I have heard about leadership is that, you have to earn your stripes, or the person who has served the longest is most deserving of the highest
Mhm.
position. For obvious reasons, I don't believe in that. I think it's important to both value different perspectives. Again, I think leaders of all ages and experience add valuable contributions. And I think it's important to have that type of representation at your tables.
Mm,
And also, I think moving up through the ranks, for lack of a better term, especially in public service, can leave you with a very myopic view and can leave you with a very specific set of skills that in
mhm.
some instances are very important and very useful, like
Yes.
historical knowledge and knowing the right
Mhm.
people to call and understanding why things are done the way they're done. But if you don't invite new people with new perspectives and different levels of experience, you run the risk of making the same decisions over and over again. And it comes back to that diversity of decision making. I think probably not advice, but like the worst attitudinal approach I've seen is valuing the people who have been there the longest. That must mean that they're ready for a leadership position. And also, just because they've served long doesn't necessarily make them a great leader in terms of soft skills. And so even though they might be super proficient or super knowledgeable,
Mhm.
or yes, exactly, or a subject matter expert, they might not actually be a great people person, or they might not really be a good motivator. So it's about ensuring that they're supported in building those skills as well.
For sure.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's a
think that
critical
would be
piece.
my
Supporting them to still, because, people can build these skills too, right? So it's not necessarily like, we're not saying, they're never going to be leaders ever, but, encouraging them to actually learn, right? And have that
yes,
mindset of learning, because if you're going to be a good leader, you have to be
yes.
willing to learn. Do you have a favorite leadership quote?
I don't know if it's specific to leadership, but one that I really do love is, and I might be butchering it, but I think it's Ubuntu. I am because we are. I really do. I love and value that quote. Like
Mm,
my success is because of my team.
collective.
I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in, and we wouldn't have the reputation that we
Mm,
have if it weren't for the entirety of the team, but also, the communities that we
mhm.
serve, and ensuring that because we engaged with them, knowing that we were delivering a good service, like I think that is really important.
It's a really good one. And it's such a great perspective too, that, it's a collective effort.
Yes. Yes, it's about everyone together, and I can't be successful unless I bring everyone with me on my journey, and that I really do. I'm not a one-man show.
I love that. That is
Maybe
good.
that's the leadership quote. I'm not a
Right?
one-man
I'm
show.
not a one-man
Yeah.
show. So when it comes to your one-on-ones with your teams, what's one
Mm.
question that you always go to for each teammate?
A question that I ask them, what is it you actually need? Like I find sometimes they'll come again, my team is so great. They come with like a list of 20 things and they're like, you need to know this. I need this from you. But then I think just taking a pause for a moment and saying, how can I actually help you
Mm-hmm.
today? And it's maybe not anything on that list, and it might not be an email to be sent or anything like that. And sometimes when I ask that, it almost catches people off guard. When I ask that, I don't just mean about work. Like it could be like, you know what, I need to leave 20 minutes early. The kids have soccer practice, or I'm really worried about this product launch in 5 weeks' time. So can we just talk about it? And so while again, agendas and formats are important, having structure in your discussions are important. Creating space for the non-structure, I think is both catches people off their guard a bit. So it makes them be honest.
Yes.
There's not like a canned
Exactly. It's
response.
not canned. Yes.
Yes, exactly. But it generates honest discussion. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I had a really frustrating discussion today
Mm-hmm.
with someone. I
Mm-hmm.
need your help with that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I thought I knew what the answer was and I got caught off guard. So it's helpful to give that space to walk through things.
So true. That's really good. And that's really good coaching too, right? Just leaving it open for them to
Yeah.
feel the way that, they want to or best suits them, right?
Yes. So I read something recently and I can't recall where, but it said the most powerful thing that leaders can do in the meetings, like the one-on-ones are not for us. They're for our team members. And so it's not about you getting information or updates or ensuring that things are on track. It's for your team member to know that they have a forum to be heard, that they know that they're supported, that they can get action or clarity. So really, I do and each of my one-on-ones are very different because
Mhm.
again, they're very different people. And so it's about allowing them to use that time in a way that works for them.
So good. So good. And so for our leaders that are listening, what's one thing that, they can do this week to build more trust on their teams?
Wow, what a good question. I think they could, even in a busy schedule, carve out time and space to listen and maybe ask that back to their staff and truly just say,
Good.
what is the one thing? If you could only ask me for one thing over the next week or over the next month, and it can be anything. Maybe you need training. Maybe you need, thinking of one of my colleagues, she really needed stationery. Like she was writing on the back of a book. I was like, you need to order a new book. We need to get books. And it's such a simple and silly thing, but she had one, we didn't have any stationery. So we needed to make an order. So, and it can be the most mundane thing to a really important thing.
Yes.
And I think if the leaders listening, just again, it can be hard to do. It's not in everybody's wheelhouse to like get that interpersonal and become that vulnerable, but also in you sharing as a leader, like, I'm not myself this week. I'm not showing up the way that I would love to. How are you feeling? Like sharing your own vulnerability, I think really goes a long way in helping your teams understand that they can express that too.
So good. So good. Great advice. Thank you, Victoria. So that's the end of our episode, guys. I know I'm having too much fun too.
Yeah.
But Victoria, could you just tell us where people can find you so they can connect with you?
Yes. Yes. So I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I love to connect with people. Please find me on LinkedIn. I know you'll drop it in the chat as well,
Yeah.
but I'm very easy to find, Victoria Horne. Also, CSDS has a blog. I would encourage everyone to go read it. My team posts lots of really cool content about what we're doing in R&V Mod, but then also what we're doing in the digital and cyber delivery space in government as a whole. So be sure to check that out. It's at novascotia. Yeah, those would be the two places you can find me on a regular basis.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll post both the blog link and her LinkedIn into the
Perfect.
show notes so that it's easy for people to find. And even I'm going to check the blog out because that sounds really cool. Honestly, what her team is doing is super cool. I'm not just saying that. So thank you so much, Victoria. It has been such an honor and a delight to chat with you. Thank you for making time out of your busy day for us. So
My pleasure.
that's it from us, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye.
Thank you.